All right, Vince, are you ready for some rapid fire?
Is it time?
It is time.
I love saying that, yes, it's time for rapid fire, much more than saying, are you ready for rapid fire? I'm happy being over here, Sean Stiers.
Let's do it.
I missed you.
All right, so per the report from Yahoo's Ross Dellinger, Notre Dame has
Oh, here we go.
re-upped with Under Armour, 10 years at $10 million per year. So you good with it? You surprised with it? Where are you on the Under Armour renewal, Vince?
Am I surprised? No. Am I good with it? The jury's still out because I want to see some more details. Like, I don't. This report doesn't have enough details for me.
Not a lot there. We don't.
Yeah,
There's really,
yeah.
other than a cash figure and the length, that's basically all there is right now.
Right. And, it had the 10 years, $10 million a year, but last year it was 10 million or 10 years for 90 million. So it doesn't seem like it's that much of an increase. So I need to see all the numbers. I don't know what to believe at this point, if I'm being honest. And so I'm not surprised. I had a feeling this was probably going to be the case. We were hearing rumors that Under Armour kind of blew all the other competition out of the water from an offer standpoint, and it wasn't close, is what I heard. And so if it's not close, then yeah, you're probably going to go with the higher offer. Is it all about the money? No. Is it about the money some? Yeah, sure is. And so I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with Under Armour. I really don't. But I also want to see what they're going to do. Like, is there going to be a concerted effort on the shoe game? That whole thing. Because that was really the only thing holding back Under Armour as far as the athletes are concerned, as far as I can tell. You know more about that than I do. But so I would hope that they kind of approached it from a shoe standpoint, being like, okay, well, we're going to be doing some different things. And, we know that's a concern of yours. And I also want to know about the NIL possibilities and how they're going to use some of the athletes and all that. So I need more information. You know what I mean? I'm cool with it. If it's Under Armour for 10 years, great. Not surprised. I would have been shocked if they went a different direction at this point.
And that's, I think a lot of people wanted to see a different direction. I think that, again, based on this report, I think a lot of people, and myself included, thought that Notre Dame was going to be kind of more in demand in terms of the Nike or the Jordan brand or, even Adidas, I guess. People weren't necessarily that thrilled about Adidas because Notre Dame had already been there. And it's still kind of amazing that it's already been almost 10 years since they were with Adidas. But you're right. Like, other than it's going to be $10 million a year for 10 years, and the fact that apparently this offer was considerably better than either of the other places, that's really all we know. I'm sure that there are going to be some NIL things included in this because, again, from what I understand, Under Armour has already pivoted to that. There are Under Armour agreements with virtually, all the, at least from the basketball, the two basketball teams and the football standpoint, there are already NIL deals in place. Now, I don't know to what extent they are, and that's another thing is we don't know. Like, one of the creative things that we've talked about that we've suggested before was whatever Notre Dame did with this next apparel deal, that there needed to be some flexibility when it comes to the shoes that, again, along the lines of the NIL, maybe it's like, you are uniformed by Under Armour and you're wearing all the Under Armour gear, but there's you kind of leave open the possibility that the players could potentially negotiate their own NIL deals when it comes to shoes and things like that, which I still think is a great idea. But again, we don't have that detail right now. It's just, I don't think anyone's blown away by it because all you're doing is re-upping, and we don't know any other details of, this is basically a report. We've seen some confirmation of the report, but that's really all it is right now. So it's hard to get excited about it. Again, when you have the shoe thing dangling out there, and this was actually a great point that Michael Hahn brought up. Where do you even buy Under Armour shoes? That should tell you something. Michael says, it's like, I started thinking about it. And other than when I go to the Under Armour outlet stores, which I do from time to time, like I don't remember seeing Under Armour in too many places. Do you? Under Armour shoes specifically.
That's a good question. I've never specifically looked for them. When I go get shoes, it's usually for my kid, and he's not buying Under Armour. I'll be honest with you. He's buying other brands, and that's okay. Whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
Chi-Town says Kohl's. You can get them at Kohl's.
Well, okay. TJ Maxx and Ross. Look. Somebody was saying in the chat about the money, and they was hope whatever. We're hearing $10 million a year for 10 years, but we're also hearing that it's the highest in the nation for apparel deal. So,
but there's some conflicting reports with that as well, because right away I started seeing people saying, "Well, Ohio State's getting this and Michigan's getting this."
So that's why I need more details. Is it really the highest apparel deal around? And, you can be upset that if it came down to, let's say, Jumpman and Under Armour, and they took Under Armour because they were offering more, be mad at Jumpman for not offering more money. Don't be mad at Notre Dame. I mean, that's, I guess, where I have an issue. It's like, don't blame Notre Dame.
If the other two weren't willing, because like, what would you do if the offer is, let's say, $7 million versus $10 million? What are you going to do? So the shoes are a little bit worse. Like, but again, that's why if I'm Notre Dame and it's like, I'm not there has to be some feedback that they have gotten from, a combination of the coaches, the players, who are actually wearing this stuff. They have to have gone to that. Marcus Freeman did the whole thing where he went out there to Under Armour. They have to have received feedback.
Absolutely.
On what they think about this stuff and what needs to be improved and what doesn't. And so you would hope that as part of that feedback, that Under Armour is not going to write a check and just keep doing things the way they're doing. The shoes have got to improve if that's going to be a big part of this deal still. Again, I would like to see with NIL, with the advent of NIL, I would like to see some flexibility with the shoes that the players can cut their own, like a Nike shoe deal so that you could wear Nike out there. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I think it makes a lot of sense. But like the Marcus Freeman apparel line, and like
that's a big one. That's a missed opportunity if they don't.
And that's on Under Armour. Like Under Armour is losing out on itself right now.
100%.
By like if they give Marcus Freeman something, they've got to expect that they're going to get a rush on anything that Marcus Freeman is wearing as soon as he's photographed wearing it. They've got to be ready to sell that. That stuff needs to be either in the bookstores or on,
that's a good point.
Wherever.
That's a really good point, and they need to harness that, because there's a lot of people that are upset that they went with Under Armour, but those very same people will be like, yeah, but it'd be cool if we could get Marcus Freeman's clothes. You know what I mean? Like, you would turn a whole segment. Like, if you care what the fans think, and I'm not saying they do. I'm not sure that I do. I'm not sure that I care what the fans think when it comes down to this stuff. But if you want to turn a lot of the people, then get that Marcus Freeman line out there, and you're going to have a lot of very, very, very happy people.
Yeah. Chi-Town says, I don't care either way, but it's irritating. There's no Marcus Freeman line because it's false advertising. It basically is. And like I saw people complaining yesterday. They announced the green jerseys, and as of right now, nowhere to be found online, the green jerseys, whether it's the bookstore or
there's a couple of third-party people out there that are doing them, but not officially. You know what I mean? I mean, they have it's legal. I'm not saying it's illegal. But Notre Dame isn't doing it for some reason. And remember when they came out with the Vegas jerseys last year? Remember how long it took to get any of that stuff? It took a while before that stuff was available.
Yeah.
And here's what I will say though. One reason I am happy that it's Under Armour is that it's not Jumpman, because it has no effect on me whatsoever. It means nothing to me. It doesn't change my life at all. I just didn't want that. I didn't want Jumpman. I didn't want a basketball player on Notre Dame's football jerseys. I just didn't. And that's petty. It's stupid. I get it. I understand that. Doesn't mean I feel any different.
It is petty.
It's
stupid.
So petty.
I don't know, but
just dumb. It's dumb.
Logo's the logo. If they had paid $12 million a year, I think that everyone could live with it. But
that's fair. I get it. And you know what? I'd have been upset for about, I don't know, 5 minutes, and then I probably would have gotten over it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like again, it has no effect on me whatsoever. So,
Yeah. John says, I can't believe the football is, or that the footwear is non-negotiable in 2023 if any of these guys have a career-damaging injury as a result of being forced to wear dodgy cleats. Yikes. And that's, I don't know. I think that's where Notre Dame, did Notre Dame have leverage? Again, we don't know exactly what the details of this are going to be, but
right. I need more details.
Who knows if Notre Dame wanted that? And Under Armour said, well, we'll pay you an extra $1 million a year. I don't know. We'll see. I guess it's not officially over yet. We still have to.
That's true. Notre Dame hasn't announced it. Under Armour
Right.
hasn't announced it. Like, I want some details, obviously, because in the same sentence, I believe in the article that was written, it said 10 for 10, and it also said the biggest in the country. So, like, which is
now? I did notice that there was, because I went back and looked at that article again today. There appears to have been some editing.
Oh, really?
About that, like the biggest in the country thing.
Okay.
I think it now says among the biggest in the country.
See, nuances. Like, that's why we need details. Okay. That's why we need details.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw today on the boards that someone was saying about how Under Armour hired, some big shoe expert a few years back, and the shoe things are solved and stuff like that. And they said it was like back in the teens. That this
2018 is what I read.
So that's 5 years ago, and I know for a fact that there's still shoe issues today. So maybe they're a little bit better, but they're lingering shoe issues.
I don't have any Under Armour shoes. If Notre Dame wanted to give me a couple free pair, I would wear them, but I'm not going to go out and buy them.
Right.
But then I could say that about any brand. Like, I don't know. I've gotten to the old man stage where I just want to wear something that's comfortable. So
I did notice you wearing your New Balance today.
You're darn right I was. And it's funny because I did go shopping with my teenager and his girlfriend to get those. And that's all the rage at that level of age. Like, they're like, it's New Balance, man. You got to get some New Balance. Like, they were the ones pushing me to get New Balance.
That's crazy.
And they have New Balance. Like, so that's the weird part about it. But they are incredibly comfortable. I will say that.
Yeah. Okay, so Notre Dame recruits have been taking to social media to do some recruiting of their own. Kennedy Urlacher tweeted a video of Irish safeties coach Chris O'Leary. It was one of those, mic'd up at practice videos, all of Chris O'Leary doing his thing. And Urlacher said, who wouldn't want to play for the most energetic and electric safeties coach in college football? And then Bryce Young tweeted an Al Washington video, and it said, it starts with a mentality. Come play for the best. And you've got other guys tweeting different versions of these videos, and they're all Irish commits doing this. What do you think about this, Vince?
I think it's genius, frankly. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that it's unique. I don't know if other schools are doing something like this, but if not, and again, I don't know, but if not, I think this is really thinking outside the box. Fighting Irish Media obviously put together these videos, and then they distributed them to their commits, who then put it out on their social media. It's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Use those guys as the ambassadors. That's a term, actually, that Justin Thurman used today. He's the third member of the 25 class, and he kept talking about how he's going to be an ambassador for the 25 class. Nothing against Justin Thurman, but I feel like that term was given to him by somebody. You know what I mean? Like, that feels like,
if they're doing it,
absolutely. But like, they're making the guys in the 24 class ambassadors of the brand, ambassadors of the program, getting it out there. Like, I think it's genius. I think it really is super smart. And they did it at a very smart time when they were dropping the jerseys and they were doing all these things.
All this, and the grill and chill was just over the weekend as well.
They harnessed the momentum and they just ran with it, man. And I give them a lot of credit for that. It's smart.
I do too. And especially like in these two cases, like I talked about, Bryce Young and Kennedy Urlacher, you've got two sons of Hall of Famers
Yeah.
And they're the one, they're doing the work for you. It's like you see Urlacher, and then you see Bryce Young. Oh yeah, Bryant Young's son. Both guys in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and to have them, again, it's not just them, but like specific to them, like those names carry a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're talking about Sons of Hall of Famers, and they're putting it
Sure.
out there, and the fact that they are, again, like they tweeted, because some of these others, like Sevillano was tweeting, I think it was a video of Justin Tuck talking to the team, and that's cool too.
Yes.
Justin Tuck and Notre Dame, great. That's cool too.
I saw a Tim Brown one, I think, at the same time.
Yeah, and then
one of the kids posted that.
Right, and then Tay, the whole homegrown thing where they had like Zach Martin and Jalen Smith and these other guys who are from Indiana, and of course he's from Fort Wayne. They're tweeting, but again, like specific to these guys, it just like it goes a long way to have Sons of Hall of Famers.
Oh yeah,
not just tweeting, but tweeting. It's like, this is going to be my position coach. This is a guy you want to play for. That kind of stuff. I think it goes a long way, and like you said, it's very smart. It's like basically organic recruiting. Where your guys are doing a lot of legwork for you.
I love it. I love it. Use them to your advantage, man. It's super intelligent.
I think so. I think so as well. Vince, do you buy or sell this season as make or break for current Chicago Bear wide receiver and former Irish wide receiver Chase Claypool?
Based on a lot of the off-season stuff with him, it's absolutely a make or break season for him. I buy that 100%, because if he doesn't show up and show out this year, then he's not going to be in a Bears uniform anymore. And I can't imagine a third team is going to pick him up to be the 1 or 2 wide receiver on their roster. Like that's not who Chase Claypool would be anymore. You know what I mean? And he's got the talent. We all know that. He's got the talent. Now we need to see what he can do with that talent at the NFL level on a consistent basis. This is a big year for the Bears because the division is winnable. I mean, the Lions, I think, are picked by everybody to win it. Okay. Do we all really trust the Lions? So the division is winnable. You've got a quarterback, I believe, in his third or fourth year. So this is an opportunity for him. He's going to need weapons. And if he doesn't have you as a reliable weapon, you're done. You're out. So, yeah, I absolutely think this is a make or break year for him.
I do as well. He is going into now his 5th season. And, of course, he got traded to the Bears midway through last season. And, there have been some talk about his work ethic and all this different stuff. But
remember he was on the PUP list for like 24 hours?
Right. Yeah.
Weird. It's just like,
exactly. Really weird stuff. And it's like, you've got your reputation to salvage, 1. 2, since almost 900 yards and 9 touchdowns as a rookie, he took a little bit of a step back the next year, but he still had a solid over 800 yards. The last 2 years combined, though, 450 yards and 1 touchdown combined. And again, you're going into year 5 now. And we were talking earlier about how running backs are obviously not a high, commodity in the NFL. Well, wide receivers are. This is a passing league.
Yeah.
And you're coming off a year where you only played in 7 games and had 140 receiving yards last year. Again, like whatever contributed to that, if there were some injuries, whatever. But it's like, you've got to get this turned around. Like if you want your career to continue, this is it, I think. I think this is a huge, really pivotal year for Chase Claypool. Is he going to be a guy who can stick around? Because I think you said it, you're not going to get too many chances if you have another year like either one of the last 2 years, especially like you had last. I mean, he's only played in 15 games the last 2 years. So he's got to show he can stay out there on the field, and then he can be a productive wide receiver.
Well, injuries is obviously a big problem with him. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and work ethic, and there's just a lot going on, right? And he's going to have to make a name for himself in the wide receiver room. Yeah. I mean, I think they're counting on him to be the 2 or the 3 this year.
Chi-Town says they need to get the ball to Cole Kmet more.
Well,
Komet
signed a
just
brand
got
new
a big contract.
Yeah, so
That's right.
I think they will.
He's not worried about that right now. He just got the big deal. And that's what
They'll get the
got to
ball
be
to
shooting for.
Komet, and good things will happen. I think we can all agree on that, right? And but yeah, it's just this is absolutely, because there's guys that are going to pass him up. I mean, that's the bottom line. If he doesn't perform, he's out.
This is what's amazing to me. Chase Claypool is still only 25 years old. So, like, he is right now just at what is supposed to be the start of the prime of his career. It's basically now till about 31, 32 years old. So he has time left. But again, like, he's got to show it right now, or I don't think he's going to be long for the NFL. You know, that whole not for long thing. I don't think he's going to be long for it.
Yeah, because I mean, you got Darnell Mooney, you got DJ Moore, you got Chase Claypool. I'm pretty sure that's the three that they want to be starting, but there's plenty of guys ready to take their spots. You know what I mean, or his specifically. So, and then you got Equinemius. Don't forget about Equinemius. He's in his 6th year. Could be make or break for him too.
That's true. That's true. MLB trade deadline today, and the deadline expired about the time we went on. I'm just refreshing here to see if anything new happened.
Hoping there was some new stuff that happened. I mean,
the biggest thing that happened, apparently, Justin Verlander getting traded from the Mets to the Astros. Didn't see any new Cubs stuff. It looks like the Candelario deal yesterday is the biggest thing. Excuse me. But you've got, in a span of like a couple days, you've got Verlander and Max Scherzer both traded from the Mets and going to the same division. The Rangers, where Scherzer went, has a half-game lead over the Astros, and Verlander going back to the Astros, so that's interesting. But a couple former Notre Dame players on the move. A.J. Pollock got traded from Seattle to the Giants this evening, and the bigger news for the Cubs fans, like Vince and Jesse, especially, Trey Mancini designated for assignment today. He did not do well after signing a 2-year, $14 million contract, batting just .234 with a .635 OPS, just 4 home runs, 28 RBIs. Now, I guess the Cubs have a week to trade, waive, or release him. It's expected he's going to be released. And from there, Mancini could sign a new deal with another team. If he plays in the big leagues, the Cubs will reportedly save a prorated portion of the big league minimum. Otherwise, they're on the hook for the full extent of the contract. It's like the rest of this season is like $2.5 million, and then it's $7 million for next year. So they're eating a big chunk, and you don't see remember the Jason Hayward deal? Like the Cubs rode that.
Yes, they did.
They didn't want to just pay Jason Hayward for doing nothing, but they're going to pay potentially Trey Mancini $9.5 million after signing him to a two-year deal and designating him for assignment this afternoon.
I believe the Cubs got a couple pitchers, or they got one and they were in on another one. A couple of bullpen arms, which was needed. Obviously my pipe dream was that they were going to be able to bring back Rizzo as a first baseman. Like, that would have been great. But he just signed that new deal not that long ago with the Yankees, so obviously that wasn't going to happen. But that would have been, I mean, they would have hit it out of the ballpark, literally and figuratively, if they were able to bring him back. But they didn't. And now they've got Candelario starting at first base tonight, which I didn't see that one coming. I thought they would be starting him at third, but hey, let's see what happens. It's going to be fun.
What do you think that they're buying and not selling? It was looking, too long
2 weeks
like
ago,
they were going to be big sellers.
And then they rattle off 8 out of 10, something like that, and they lost last night by 1, which stinks against the division leaders. But hopefully they can scratch one out tonight. But I love that they're buyers, man. I love that they're going in for it. I love that they're going to need to be active in the offseason. They're going to have to re-sign Bellinger. They're going to have to, supposedly they're in the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes. Okay, well, go make something happen, in the offseason. Now, I don't realistically think that the Cubs are going to win the World Series this year. I don't think, well, I'm sure there are a section of Cub fans that think that, But heck, man, if they can go out there and make the playoffs and make a little noise, that's huge going into the offseason. And it's also huge to be a landing spot for some free agents as well. And so, they're kind of building something up here, man. And I kind of dig it. I kind of dig what they're doing.
We'll see. We'll see how it pans out. I thought maybe they'd try to make a little bit bigger splash.
I know. I was hoping
for this trade deadline, but yeah, we'll see.
I was hoping.
I guess, I guess the least you can say is they went out and did something, but they still seem to be playing for the future a little bit more. Back to the question, we had about the commits, the Notre Dame recruits, with the tweets and all that stuff. Can't Hide Speed asks, couldn't that be seen as an indictment on the coaches not being, not recruiting good enough, basically not being good enough recruiters themselves? What do you think about that?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. It's just more bullets in the gun, man. Like it's you give your guys on the front line as much artillery as you possibly can. And that's what this is. It is not an indictment on what the coaches are doing at all. It's just giving them more weapons. That's all it is to me. I don't think this is an indictment in any way, shape, or form because the Cubs are doing really, really well. The Cubs. The see, I found my mind now. The Notre Dame coaching staff is doing a great job on the recruiting trail right now. A great job. This is not an indictment in any way, shape, or form.
No, I don't think so either. Like you said, I think it's just another layer to what they're doing, and it shows how committed, how bought in these guys are.
Exactly.
It's like the fact that they're committed to begin with, that speaks to the recruiting prowess of the staff. And I realize there are people who are disappointed to whatever extent in how some, recruiting stuff has or hasn't played out. But again, when you go back to that blue chip ratio, the percentage of, 4 to 5 star guys, and compare it to what Brian Kelly was doing, even though a lot of people, down south want to tell you that Brian Kelly is having all these great successes and what a great recruiter is. The bottom line, and that, he was never going to get it done at Notre Dame, and there's a ceiling at Notre Dame and all these different things. Notre Dame is recruiting the 4 and 5 star. It's mostly 4s, but it's a combination of 4 and 5 when you talk about the blue chip ratio. They're recruiting at about 20% better than what Brian Kelly was, and over time, that's going to add up.
You bet it will. Yep. No doubt about that.
Were you or anyone else in the family up watching the Women's World Cup this morning? I saw the tweets on that as soon as I got up. I didn't realize they were playing that late.
3 a.m. And I watched the first 2 games because they were on at 7 and then 9. And then all of a sudden now they're on at 3 a.m. And I contemplated it, but did not get up. I checked everything out in the morning when I woke up. Really disappointing finish, by the way, that they tied 0-0. Like this is, and the 2 games that I watched, they're just not taking advantage of their opportunities. And 1 game is a fluke, 2 games is like, but 3 games, you're real worried. They could be the first one. They could be ousted early because they're the second team out of their group going into the knockout stage, and which means they're not going to get a great draw. And I haven't looked at it yet, but they got an uphill climb to win their 3rd in a row. So
just ask Carly Lloyd, I guess, right?
Well, she's like, they're lucky, and she's not wrong though. She is not wrong, and they only tied their 2nd game because they scored towards the end of the game. So it's not a great showing for the U.S. women. Let's just put it that way. And I've enjoyed watching it, but I wasn't getting up at 3 a.m. I couldn't do it.
I don't blame you. I didn't
Maybe
realize
it was the championship or something.
I didn't realize it was going on. Like I said, until I got up and I saw the tweets about people ticked off about the tie. And you're pretty dedicated if you're getting up for a 3 a.m. soccer game.
Like West Coast, at least it's midnight, so maybe they watched it. But 3 a.m., man, you're in REM sleep by then, like you should be. So that was not going to happen.
No. All right. Well, I think that is going to do it tonight. We will go ahead and wrap it up with that. And of course, we will be back tomorrow. Appreciate you being here as always. Training camp continues. We don't have another practice
Saturday,
until
right?
Saturday. That's
Yep.
right. We'll get to talk to quarterbacks coach Gino Gaduli and the quarterbacks after Saturday's practice. But
it's just another 5-period one, though. So
another
not a whole
5-period.
lot,
That's right.
know.
That's right.
Typical.
All right. Well, hit the like button before you leave us tonight. We do appreciate it. And of course, subscribe, rate, and review on your podcast platforms. And we'll talk to you tomorrow on IB Nation Sports Talk.